Hey, you're keeping company with Connor, and you're listening to another Town Square Spotlight, shedding some light on some of the best art and entertainment in and around the Hudson Valley, especially in New York State. And of course, we have something that exactly does that. This is an amazing program. We've had them on our sister program, In Touch, so we're really happy to have them here today. From New York Stage and Film, we have artistic director Liz Carlson. Liz, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing good. We had you on In Touch last year. Now we got you on Town Square Spotlight this year. It's great. We're getting you all over the place.
We are thrilled to be anywhere you allow us to be.
Absolutely. Both shows air on Sundays. They're on all the same places, so yeah, it works nonetheless. So I'm really happy to have you back in here. How has the last year been for you?
The last year has been, as always in the arts, very robust, very exciting.
Amen.
There's a lot of incredible stories being made in the world right now, and we feel really privileged to be a part of the ecosystem that helps to develop such amazing new stories in this moment in time.
Absolutely. So for anybody who didn't listen to that previous In Touch episode, or those who are just unfamiliar with you guys, could you give a little overview on what New York Stage and Film is?
Absolutely. New York Stage and Film is a not-for-profit arts organization. We've been around now for 39 years, and we were founded to create primarily a summer season in the Hudson Valley where we can bring artists in community for a number of weeks, and they bring their new stories to us, whether those be new plays, musicals, TV shows, screenplays, and we provide resources in terms of time, other artists, opportunities to share stories in front of audience members for these artists to work on these projects. The shows that we fall in love with on stages, on screens, actually take years and years and years to develop. And so New York Stage and Film is a really vital part of that process when artists get to bring us their unfinished work to ask big questions, take risks, try things, fail a little bit, which is a part of the creative process, succeed in ways they didn't think was possible, and then ultimately share their work in front of an audience so that they know what they need to do on the rest of their journey on the way to that ultimate finished version.
That's really incredible. I love getting to see things get workshopped. You're right. Things do take a while. So many people see the final piece, but they don't see the years of blood, sweat, and tears that go into everything. So this is a great way to be able to see it. And I remember the last time you were in, you discussed some of the big hits that have come out of that. What are some of those big names that people have probably heard of that have come through New York Stage and Film? Yeah,
we're really proud of the legacy of stories that we have in our wake. And I think we did the math recently. Next year will be our 40th anniversary.
Oh my God, congrats.
Thank you. 2025, the big 4-0.
Wow.
At which point we will have helped develop almost 1,000 stories for stage and screen. And there are many that audience members will have never heard of because that's sometimes a part of the creative process. But we have many that they have. And the biggest one certainly is Hamilton, which developed with us in 2013 when it was simply one act, and Act 2 had yet to be written, which is always exciting to share a piece of a story with an audience so the artist can feel how those audience members are reacting to that as they chart their path forward. We also have Hadestown, American Idiot, Doubt, which had a huge Broadway revival this past season. The Wolves, which was a huge play off Broadway, then had a commercial run and is done throughout the country, all over the place now. We have Bright Star. We have how many more? I mean, like dozens and dozens and dozens of.
It's a great list.
It's a great list. Thank you, and we're proud of that. And even this past season, the 2023-2024 season, we had over a dozen shows that were premiering on Broadway, off-Broadway, and in regional productions. Oh, The Notebook, which was just up on Broadway. That was
really?
one of our shows. Yep.
Neat.
The Connector, which was off-Broadway this past year.
I've heard of it. I don't know much about it.
Yep, a Jason Robert Brown, Jonathan Mark Sherman piece. And then multiple shows will be coming into the 24-25 season that we have helped to develop as well. So it's a long history of helping to seed the field, which we continue to do today.
That's really impressive, and I think that is so important, and I want to dive into that in a second. I will just say this. One of these days, I will finally get Lin-Manuel in. It's funny because you guys workshopped Hamilton. I just spoke to his dad for Town Square Spotlight.
Sure, great.
Yep, so I feel like 8 degrees to Kevin Bacon, 8 degrees to Hamilton.
You'll get there.
One of these days, I did get an email from his office, from Lin-Manuel's office one time.
It's a step.
It was a rejection email, but it was still something. One of these days, I will get him on, but so many Hamilton connections. It's going to happen. But that being said, before we get into some of the events and performances that are going on, I really want to talk about this for a moment. In a post-pandemic world where so much of the arts were put on halt, also when we talked last year, the writer strikes were going on too. So that's a huge thing as well. In this post-pandemic and crazy world of trying to get the right compensation for the arts, why is this so important to have a place to be able to develop and workshop these ideas?
Yeah, art is a reflection of the time in which it's being made. It's a reflection on humanity, and it's been a part of our instinctual behavior as humans since, we could draw pictures, we could speak, we could gather and share stories. And the art that we choose to put within a business infrastructure on Broadway, off Broadway, on screens, there also needs to be a part of that process that isn't about the final product, that isn't about the business, where the artists can be artists and really embrace that vital creative process with one another, where they're being given permission to say, I don't know yet, and I need to try this thing to ultimately get to that piece that we then get to see in those big spaces or little spaces. One of the unfortunate byproducts of a pandemic arts experience is that the business has changed, where the money's going has changed, how far money can go has changed. And so a lot of off-Broadway, not-for-profit, and developmental companies like ourselves are really feeling the strain of what has gone away in terms of resources. So we have sadly experienced colleague institutions that also used to focus on development have unfortunately ceased to exist. And so we are feeling that because we long for our colleagues to be present, but also we're hearing from our artistic community, there aren't as many places left to develop my work. And that's terrifying for the ecosystem of the art form. So for a healthy ecosystem of the art form, our hope is that we can continue doing the very robust, necessary work we provide, and that the field as a whole can go back and invest in development, because you don't get to that Tony Award winning work without that messy process that precedes it.
Naturally, seriously, this is so important to be able to have a place to do this. As somebody who is, I've made albums from scratch, I've made films from scratch, I've helped produce and direct plays, stage manage plays as well. As somebody who's been on all those sides, I know what it's like to be able to try to build this from the ground up. It is not easy. And especially with very little resources or little, without a quote unquote audience. And I don't mean like a physical audience, but just somebody there to say, it's like, hey, this is good stuff. And to support you, it can be so downtrodden and it can be so tough to be able to break through. So to be able to have New York Stage and Film to be able to support those things, that's so important. And I hope that things continue to grow and build for you guys. You have a terrific season, and I think it's time to talk about that. Yeah. Again, you're listening to another Town Square Spotlight. We're speaking with Liz Carlson, Artistic Director of New York Stage and Film. We've been talking about why it's so important to have these places to workshop the arts so that you can enjoy the wonderful final products that you get, but it always starts somewhere. It always starts somewhere. You guys have a really awesome lineup, and I'm just going to highlight a few things. You're working with actor, director, singer, songwriter Jim Dale. I had to look him up a little bit, but holy cow, has he had an incredible career. Actress, comedian Margaret C.H.O. You've probably seen her specials online, and also I get a bunch of her TikToks and Reels as well. Hilarious. Comedian and writer Amber Ruffin. You've seen her on Late Night with Seth Meyers. And then you got the American folk rock band Delta Ray. And then also, as somebody who's watching The Boys currently, you have Jessica Hecht, who plays Carol on The Boys, Susan and Friends, Gretchen in Breaking Bad, and so much more. Those are some of the awesome names, and that's just a few. That's just a few. You have so many things going on. I just had to highlight that. But can you tell us what people can expect out of this 2024 season?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great highlight of 6 individuals of the 270 that we're going to have in residence this summer. If
we try to get through all 270, we would be here all Sunday.
Yeah. So, I mean, what's so joyful about a New York Stage and Film season, every year it's a great gift to be able to curate what we bring together and then share with our audiences. And we're always very mindful of showing a large swath of types of stories, of people in various places in their careers. Someone like a Jim Dale who's been doing this for decades and decades and really is a titan in storytelling, and especially comedic storytelling. And he's going to be sharing a night of hilarious stories that he's assembled from his life and career. And to, emerging artists who audiences are going to start meeting and really be, I think, moved by their incredible voices. We also have a program of dance in our season now. So we have this beautiful piece called Game Night, which is about 7 friends coming together for a night of, life-altering information and sharing between one another. But it is done solely through spoken word that is pre-recorded, that is then composed with music, and then 7 dancers. And it is a stunning way of experiencing friendship.
Wow.
And we have different versions of music, everything from, Delta Ray, who's going to share a concert of songs from their new musical, The Ninth Woman, through...
Oh, musical. That's cool.
Yep. It's a new musical they're developing. We have a musical workshop of a piece called The Heart, which has electronic music, which is a different type of music than one might expect for musical theater, but it's so incredible and rich. To our final piece, Dignity, Always Dignity, which is with Bryce Pinkham, who is a comedian, actor, singer, clown, exceptional performer who's thinking about why and when we choose to tell stories and how we use storytelling to maybe avoid the conversations we don't want to be having and how they bring us back to the conversations we should be having.
Interesting perspective on that.
Yeah, I mean, to the piece with Jessica Hecht, Tulipa is a monologue story that she's telling with a dancer in tow about tulip mania in Holland in the late 17th century, which was a fascinating period of human history. I mean, there's sibling stories, there's love stories, there's really challenging conversations, there's hilarious conversations like Amber's piece that she's writing with her co-writers about Bigfoot. That is, also about mob mentality. In this moment in time, a very interesting piece to put to music.
Yeah.
So what our audiences can expect is a range of exceptional talent, as always, and a range of emotions that are, hard to sit in, but also exceptional to sit in as we, consider our humanity and a community of people, both the patrons they'll be watching with and the artists who are present, who are really invested in helping work understand where it is. And it's such a gift to have these audiences who are so excited to see unfinished work.
Yeah.
And they get to be a part of the process. We say that and we deeply mean it because the artists can't move forward without the audiences teaching them where they are.
Yeah. No, absolutely. There's a reason why, you have certain films that have the early screenings to get those test reactions. That's why people who are releasing albums or musicals where they have people come in and listen to the work in the studio, maybe like 30 people see what's going on. That's why those things are so important. You have to workshop it. You have to figure out, it's like, hey, am I on the right direction with this? And that's really awesome. All those different things sound great. I feel like our listening audience on The Wolf would really appreciate the Bigfoot stuff.
Yes.
We have a big Bigfoot community over there. I don't quite understand it, but I'm all for it. And I hope we find him one day.
I hope we find
him. That's terrific. So, as you said, so many people are excited to be able to see, witness, experience, and help cultivate this unfinished work. You have a few interesting ways in order to get those patrons out there. You're shipping people on party buses.
We are. This is a new event we're throwing this year. So, a lot of our audiences come from New York City, and it's a very easy train ride. You hop over to Grand Central, you take the Hudson Line to Poughkeepsie. It's literally the last stop on the train. You can't miss it. And then the Marist College campus, where we host our work, is 5 minutes from the train station. So it's
5 minutes from here.
It's 5 minutes from the studio. It could not be easier to get to our work. And it's a fun trip to do, especially on a summer day. But we are trying something this year where we are, chartering a party bus, which is going to leave Midtown Manhattan Sunday morning on July 21st, drive you door to door to the Bigfoot musical, where you can then sit and laugh, and then they will drive you back to Midtown. And we're going to give you a little swag bag of snacks and some stage and film merch. And it's just a way to, again, have a fun Sunday, summer afternoon with some like-minded people, meet some new friends, see some great work, and, be joyful.
That's terrific. Can I just travel down to Manhattan just to get on the party bus?
Hey, fine with me.
You heard it here. You can drive down to Manhattan and do that, guys. Do it. No, but that sounds hilarious. But for those who are here in the Hudson Valley, who, like myself, the studio is only 5 minutes away from Marist, how do people get in on these things? How can they register or buy tickets or get involved? How can they get into these shows?
It's very easy. You can go to the New York Stage and Film website and you can click on our Get Tickets link, and that will bring you to, the list of shows. We have very, very low accessible ticket prices because we want to make sure that everyone can get through the door, and you can buy a whole season package if you want. And then you come on over to the Marist College campus. You follow the very colorful flags that will lead you right to that theater, and you can come see everything.
That's amazing. And of course, all the links and information will be in the description of this interview, so you don't have to go too far to find it. One thing that we were talking about last year, and I'm curious how things have grown and developed since then, this partnership with Marist is relatively new. So what's that like to have a new home base at Marist College?
Marist has been such an exceptional partner. We, discovered them as collaborators as a result of, the pandemic and a lot of the industry shifting and shaping up. And we formed a 3-year collaboration with them for 2023 through 2025 at the very least. And we look forward to a future beyond that. And, they have a real appetite for experimentation and process and, being in community with Poughkeepsie and the greater Hudson Valley, and just making as robust an environment as we can for this process.
That's cool. And of course, while you're there, if you're not as, aware of what's around the area, I live right around the corner from Marist. I love going down to the boat dock and just like chilling down by the river. So if you're waiting for a show or you just finished a show, taking the campus, taking the sights like that, it's such a beautiful campus. I love it over there. And also the way that they've built things up over there, the physical infrastructure and how you're and like where you're actually showing everything. It's gorgeous over there.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
It's a really stunning campus, especially right on the river. And there's a lot of wonderful local establishments very, very close by. You can have a beautiful dinner. And if you happen to come to a show on a Saturday, we also have something called our Saturday Club where you can buy an extra, low-cost ticket, and we'll give you food between your matinee and evening performances on Saturday nights. And it's another way for you to, expand your community of art lovers and to meet some of our artistic community who attend those events as well.
Oh, come on. How can you say no to food?
Exactly.
Honestly, that sounds fantastic. I could just see somebody now. It's like, hey, how come they got food? And
exactly.
Like,
well, got to join the Saturday Club.
Oh, dang. I guess I got to join.
Yep.
No, that sounds fantastic. Of course. Again, all links and information will be in the description of this interview. Again, you're listening to another Town Square Spotlight. We're speaking with artistic director Liz Carlson of New York Stage and Film. They got an incredible new season lined up that's going to be happening at Marist College in Poughkeepsie. A lot of great stuff. Of course, check things out in the description so you can see the website, you can see all the events, you can see everything that's going on. It's really awesome to be able to experience, some of these newcomers and some of these veterans just trying stuff out. And at this point, as I said, you got the newcomers, you got the veterans, but at this moment, they're workshopping stuff. It doesn't matter how long you've been in it or what it is. They're all kind of quote-unquote newbies in these situations. They're fresh, they're green, they're trying something.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. It doesn't matter whether you've been doing this just for a handful of years or a handful of decades and have all of the awards under the sun. Every artist needs an environment in which they can come back and be vulnerable and try things and really put themselves out there and embrace that creative process. And, for as many projects as we have with public-facing presentations, which audiences can come see these in-process works, we have just as many artists who are going to be there in residency in an incubator format where they're just going to be in a room and they are going to be behind a closed door and they're going to tinker away and then go home. And that's just as valid of a process. And we have multiple musicals who will be workshopping in that way. We also have our filmmakers workshop where we have 8 early career screenwriters who come in with brand new screenplays and TV pilots. They have a whole team of mentors who help give them notes. And so there's a lot of ways in which we serve an artistic community.
That's amazing. So we've been focusing a lot more on how the community can get involved in experiencing and watching these things. But let's say there's somebody listening out in the Hudson Valley right now that wants to workshop something. Might be a little late for this year since you guys are going, but if somebody wants to start a creative artistic project and would love to try to collaborate with you guys, how should they go about doing that?
I think if it's someone who's local, the best thing for them to do is to come meet us in person, which there are ample opportunities to do that. I do a curtain speech before every single show to invite people into the process, help contextualize where we are, why we do it in this way. And then people should just say hello.
That's all it takes.
Absolutely.
You never know what a conversation can
Exactly.
do. Seriously. Liz, thank you so much for being here on this Town Square Spotlight. Before we completely wrap up, do you have any last little nugget for our listening audience right now?
I think in this moment in time where a lot is shifting around us, one of the greatest things we can do is come together, be in person, and share some space together. And I think share some incredible stories, some laughs, some feelings. We encourage everyone to come be an audience member. And also for those people who understand how important it is for arts to be a part of our culture, look into your local not-for-profit organizations, look into New York Stage and Film, and really I would encourage people to consider donating from the smallest to the highest level. We really depend on our communities to invest in the arts, and so people can do that, by becoming regular one-time donors for New York Stage and Film, by attending events like our season kickoff reception, which feeds into our arts program and the programs we're building with Marist, or to become an audience patron. All of it really, builds up and makes our work possible.
That's incredible. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this season. I want to check stuff out. Again, it's right down the road for me, so fantastic. Again, you can find all links and information for New York Stage and Film, everything that's going to be going on at Marist College in Poughkeepsie this summer by going to the links in this interview. We got it all for you. Again, Liz, thank you so much for being here on this Town Square Spotlight.
Thank you. It's great to be here again.
Happy to have you.